There's a younger version of you running your bank account, and that younger version doesn't want you to be okay. You might already be living this way, and you wouldn't know it, because the part of you that's quietly keeping you broke isn't your spending. It isn't your math. It's something much older than that. This isn't about spending too much. It isn't about not knowing what to do with money. Most people who stay broke can tell you exactly what they should be doing. They've watched the videos. They've read the threads. They could explain compound interest in their sleep. So why don't they do it? Because something underneath is fighting them. A part of them is quietly working against the version of them that wants to be okay with money. And the strangest part is, that part of them thinks it's helping. Here's the pattern. I'll give it a name so we can talk about it. Call it scarcity as self-definition. In plain English, feeling broke isn't just a feeling for some people. It's who they are. Take it away, and they don't know who they're supposed to be. Most of us assume that feeling broke goes up and down with your bank account. Money goes in, the feeling goes down. Money goes out, the feeling goes up. Simple. But for a specific kind of person, that's not how it works. The feeling doesn't move when the money moves. The feeling just sits there. Think of someone who got a raise 3 months ago. The raise was real. The money showed up in the account. Nothing about their life is harder than it was before. But when they open their banking app, the same tight feeling shows up. The same low buzz of worry. The same quiet sense that something bad is coming. The number went up. The feeling didn't move. That's the giveaway. Because the feeling was never tracking the number. The feeling was tracking who they think they are. And who they think they are is someone who doesn't have enough. That's the pattern. They aren't broke because of math. They're broke because being not broke would feel like becoming a stranger to themselves. Now the harder question. Why would your own mind do this to you? One word: protection. Most identities are built early. They're built around what kept you safe as a kid. So if you grew up in a house where money was always tight, where bills caused fights, where the fridge sometimes had less in it than it should, your brain learned something specific. It learned that watching for money problems was useful. Knowing the rent was late was useful. Feeling the tightness before anyone said it out loud was useful. The kid who didn't notice got blindsided. The kid who tracked it stayed ready. So your mind built a self around the tracking. I'm the one who knows it's tight. I'm the one who doesn't get caught off guard. I'm the one who survives this. That self kept you safe back then. And here's the thing your mind doesn't tell you. It doesn't let go of selves that kept you safe. Even when you're a grown adult, even when you're earning more than your parents ever did, even when the math says you can finally relax, somewhere underneath, your brain made a quiet trade, a trade you never agreed to out loud. It said, if I stop feeling broke, I stop being the person who survived being broke. And if I stop being that person, who am I? That trade isn't logical. It doesn't have to be. It just has to feel safer than the unknown. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Once you see this pattern, you start seeing the small things you do to keep it alive. You check your bank account 3 or 4 times a day. You know nothing has changed since the last check. You check anyway. The checking isn't really about the money. It's about feeling the tightness again, because the tightness is familiar, and familiar feels like home. There's a low pulse of guilt every time you spend on something that isn't strictly necessary, even when you can clearly afford it. The guilt isn't about being responsible. It's about staying recognizable to yourself. A person who easily spends on themselves would be a different person. Your mind is keeping you from becoming that person. Maybe last year someone offered you a chance to make more money. A side project, a new role, something extra. You said no and you had a very reasonable explanation. Bad timing, wrong fit, too much risk. Those reasons were real. They were also convenient. And maybe you've noticed something stranger. Every time something good happens with money, a bonus, a refund, an unexpected check, a problem shows up within a few weeks to absorb it. The car needs something. A friend needs a loan. You buy something you didn't plan for. It's not bad luck. The extra money didn't have a place to live in the version of you running the show. So the version of you running the show found a way to send it back out. And here's the strangest one. The one you'll only notice if you're honest. When things actually do stabilize, when the bills are handled, when there's a small cushion, when by every measure you should feel relieved, you don't. You feel uneasy. Maybe it shows up as boredom, maybe as a vague sense that something is wrong but you can't name what. Maybe as an urge to make a problem, start something you can't afford, take on a risk that doesn't make sense, pick a fight about money with someone you love. You read it as restlessness. It isn't. It's the alarm going quiet. And the alarm going quiet feels more dangerous than the alarm being on. Because the alarm is what you grew up listening to. The alarm is how you've always known where you are. So you find a way to turn it back on. And you'll have a perfectly good reason for it. You'll tell yourself you're taking initiative. What you're actually doing is going home. A man sits alone in a parked car. The engine is off. It's after work. The phone is in his hand. The banking app is open. He's just stared at the number for the 4th time today. The number is fine. The feeling isn't. He's 36. 4 years ago, he was making $55,000 a year. Today, he makes $95,000. By every number you could measure, his life got better. He doesn't feel better. He feels more broke than he did at 55. He apologizes when he buys lunch out, even when he's eating alone. Last quarter, someone offered him a side gig that would have added another $15,000. He turned it down. He told himself he was protecting his time. He wasn't. And there in the parking lot, a different question lands. Not, how do I make more? He's been asking that for 10 years. The new question is quieter, and it scares him more. If the money were finally enough, who would I even be? He sits with that. The car is quiet, and he realizes he doesn't have an answer. The version of him he's been carrying around his whole adult life needs the not enough to keep existing. That's the moment the pattern becomes visible, not on a spreadsheet, in a parked car. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. You're not bad with money. You're not lazy. You're not behind. You're loyal. Loyal to a kid who learned, a long time ago, how to survive a house where money was tight. A kid who tracked the bills before anyone said it out loud. A kid who stayed ready so nothing could blindside them. That kid kept you safe, and your mind has never let go of them. Because the part of you that built that kid doesn't know the danger is over. So every time more money arrives, that kid quietly arranges things to keep existing. The checking, the guilt, the surplus that always disappears, the strange unease when things finally settle. Those aren't separate problems. They're one self doing one job, keeping itself alive, keeping you recognizable to yourself. The money was never the problem. The money was the proof. Proof that a kid who once needed to be on watch is still on watch, still loyal, still earning their keep, still making sure you stay someone they recognize. You don't have to fix this tonight. You just have to see it. That the feeling you've been carrying around like a fact about your money might actually be a fact about who you think you are. And the day you can thank that kid for the work they did and gently let them know the danger is over, something starts to shift. No budget can reach that place. Only seeing can.